An overall much cooler but also much less cloudy day behind us. Winds calming down a lot from earlier today, but we're still on the breezy side tonight. And factored in with cooler temperatures this evening, it's certainly a chilly one. So throw on the jackets and throw them on tomorrow morning as you're getting outside as well. Now another benefit of the snowfall we're seeing today is it actually acts as an insulator for baby sequoias growing in the snow. Fortunately, we do have drier skies here in California, which will help during rocket launches or maybe if you're just going outside to take a drive. Help to draw in some of this cooler air is gradually making its way out of the region. You do see this low now centered further and further eastward. I'm kind of liking this one, even though we are looking at still some hot weather, especially likely on into Sunday and Monday of the latter part of the weekend. That's our closest approach to 100 degrees. For the most part, it's good out there. As this cold air is drawn over the Sierra Nevada, it accelerates as it pushes down into lower elevations. Gusts as high as 100 miles per hour have been recorded from mono wind events in the past, and with such saturated ground already, both flood watches and flood warnings are in effect dependent on area. We could be looking at some very heavy rainfall as massive amounts of water continue to be released from that dam's heavily damaged spillway. And here locally, crews continue to be working non-stop to ensure a levee along the Fresno Slough does not fail. Yeah, guys, I'm standing right here in the middle of an area that could potentially be inundated in 2 to 3 feet of water should this mentioned levee break. Now that levee is actually about 2 miles behind where I'm standing right now. Approximately 80 homes have been issued evacuation advisories should the levee break. I'm standing here at the corner of McKinley and Winery where a downed tree blocked traffic along westbound McKinley earlier this evening. Crews still cleaning up after this tree fell. This is a relatively common scene across the city of Fresno. Here flying above the Sierra Nevada, you can see from a totally different perspective the damage that's been done by not only the pine bark beetle, but also years of drought. You have all these dead trees that are very susceptible to falling. Now, it's not necessarily unprecedented that we would see a lot of dying trees in the forest. California is very much so a state where we see times of drier and warmer weather, and then also cooler and wetter times. It seems that we're in a period where we're certainly drier and warmer. That's very obvious from the past 4 years of drought. And so what we're seeing is this mass death of trees, 50 to 60%, as Dean Gold said. No, not for long, but it was a gorgeous day today.
Boy, it was.
Ooh, hopefully you got to enjoy it because those clouds were beautiful, the skies were beautiful. Temperatures in the 60s, can't beat that. 64 degrees for our daytime high today. And like Megan said, it's not lasting for long. Temperatures right now have fallen to the low 50s, so a comfortably cool evening. Dry for the most of us out there, although we do have some showers up in the foothills, including just east of Fresno. If you're traveling along the 180 towards the foothills, you are running into some very light shower activity right now. Now, compared to what we're going to be seeing in Futurecast the next couple of days, you're not going to even remember those light sprinkles some of you are seeing right now. Here's a look at what we could be seeing around 7 p.m. tomorrow. Starting to see isolated areas of moderate rainfall working their way back into the region. You notice some pockets of pretty heavy rain on the west end of the Central Valley, including western Fresno County. This could affect areas like Tranquility, which are looking at that weakened levee along the Fresno Slough. So officials are going to be watching these storms very closely. But what we're also going to be watching very closely is the rainfall that will be falling just north of our viewing area. This is at 11 p.m. tomorrow, right when we're going to be on air with you. We'll be looking at some moderate rainfall across the 99 corridor, just west of that corridor, and very heavy rainfall, especially for the southern Bay Area, that, notice this the next few days, doesn't go anywhere. We'll be looking at this persistent rainfall from the Bay Area on up into the Sacramento and San Joaquin River deltas, clear through Monday and on into Tuesday. So while on Monday, many of us across the Central Valley will be catching a break from the rain, some of us on the western end of the valley, even seeing some sunshine, we'll be looking at continued rainfall for this region that will just be drenched. By Tuesday, still continuing to see rain in the forecast. This is at 12 a.m. right here. Some areas of rain across the eastern part of the valley, and that heavy rainfall just continues along the foothills. Again, the potential of foothills flooding, especially along smaller streams, should definitely be on your radar as you are traveling these next couple of days. Now, forecast will dry out Wednesday on. In fact, we'll be looking at a much drier weather trend, but that's not before this rainfall really pummels through the state. The potential by Tuesday and Wednesday roll around of over an inch of rain for much of the valley, including areas closer to the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, upwards of 2 inches. Once you get up into the mountains, we're not talking inches anymore. It's solid feet of snowfall. By the crest of the Sierra Nevada, you could be looking at 4 feet of the white stuff, something that you don't want to be driving through, especially not without chains. Lows tonight will fall into a range of 40s. Selma and Hanford dropping to 44 degrees each. Chowchilla and Firebaugh dropping to 43 each. Merced down to 44 tonight. As for your daytime highs tomorrow, although holding on to the 60s, won't be quite as warm as it was today. Chowchilla topping off tomorrow at 60 degrees. Selma at 61. Lemoore at 61 as well. While for Corcoran, Kettleman City, Tulare, Pixley, and Porterville, you'll be rounding out those numbers at 62 degrees each. Here in Fresno tonight, we'll drop to 45 degrees, just a slight chance of showers like we're looking at right now. 60 degrees for our high tomorrow, with the rainfall really kicking into gear post sunset. Good air quality continues tomorrow, and a look at the next 7 days shows 2 very different forecasts. The next few days, they're going to be very wet, especially tomorrow night on into Monday. We'll continue to see heavy rain in the North Valley on into Tuesday, with showers lingering into Wednesday. But after that, we finish off February and start off March with a much different weather trend. In fact, some very dry weather to look forward to. We've already surpassed our average rainfall for this time of year and for the season as a whole, so we could definitely use a little bit of dry weather. Thanks, guys. Where I'm standing, just 24 hours ago, a tree once stood. Now, during last night's storm, this same tree crashed into this retaining wall right here and this outbuilding, leaving noticeable damage. And now all that's left on the ground is bare earth. As the rain fell last night, so did the trees.
The most recent storm that came through didn't really put a lot of water down on the ground, but it certainly, with the wind, caused some issues with many of our trees in the area.
Mark Standriff with the city of Fresno says crews worked through the evening and into daytime hours today, clearing trees from streets and yards across the city.
When you have wind kick up like we did yesterday, you have the susceptibility for trees to either have branch damage, and those branches will fall, or the trees themselves will just fall over.
The culprit, years of drought weakening root systems.
If they weren't watered, they're not going to be as strong, the roots aren't going to be as wide.
John Realhorn, an arborist with Belmont Nursery, says rainfall is compounding the issue of unhealthy trees with wet and loose soil. But you can take precaution.
You want to selectively prune, allow the wind to blow through so it's not such a big sail.
And knowing how to spot the weak spots on your trees may be easier than you think.
If a branch grows into another branch, the bark grows together, we call that included bark, it's a weak spot. So that's where oftentimes you'll see the branch fall off and break.
Now another shot here of that damage on this stone wall. The city of Fresno recommends that if you see a tree down, to report it immediately so that crews can head out and do the necessary cleanup work. Reporting in Fresno, John Shrable.